Well, hi, class, and welcome to Introduction to Business one more time. We are entering Chapter 12. Chapter 12, we're going to get into a few things about marketing and how you actually distribute your product. If you are a new business owner, the most important thing, if you have products, is understanding how to handle the distribution of your products. You can say right now, Amazon is probably the number one company in the world who's mastered the distribution of their products. And also, how they actually market their products. I get things all the time from Amazon, and before I was a brick and mortar kind of a guy. I had to go into the store. I had to touch it, feel it, so try it on. But with Amazon, you are so assured of getting your product pretty close, identical to what you ordered, as opposed to Instagram and Facebook products. And then what happens is the way they market it to show you what other customers have purchased, in addition to what you're already purchasing, and the quality. Super, super important. So let's get into what the objectives are going to be about. We're going to define marketing and apply the marketing concept of both nonprofit and for-profit organizations. Describe the 4 Ps of marketing. We're going to summarize the marketing research process. There's a lot of things behind the scenes when you think about marketing your company. When I worked for a private institution, it was a university, and they were 5 years running, and they still weren't having a great deal of students, domestic students. They had international students, but didn't have a large domestic population. So that's when you start stepping up and saying, how are we going to market this better? Let's do a little research. What do students want? What do students need? The very first thing I pitched as their new VP is that we need to actually make sure we have a trolley line or a bus line that comes to our particular university, because we were an international university, and a lot of international students don't have access to cars. Bing! There's the very first research idea that allowed them to say, we need to maybe move the university. And that's exactly what they ended up doing. Show how marketeers are using the environmental scanning to learn about the changes marketing environment. Explain how marketeers apply the tool of market when you're segmenting it, and relationships marketing, and the study of consumer behavior. Compare the business to business market and also the consumer market. Business to business is important because you want to sell your product to, say, another business. Let's say you are a business that deals with pots and pans. Very simplistic. There's a restaurant, business to business. And how do you approach that? Well, you find out what they're using. You find out, let's say, the quality of the, say, the pots and pans that they're using, and you better that. Daniel Lupsky, he's the founder of Kind. Born in Mexico City, he learned early on about the immense power of kindness to fight against intolerance. I love that statement. His father experienced as a Holocaust survivor. He taught his son the value of acting unselfishly. That's a really good attribute to either acquire or to learn. He started his own business selling duty-free watches at the age of 16 and earned a degree in economics and international relations and graduated from law school. That's pretty phenomenal. He traveled across the world to develop culturally collaborative brands. He developed Kind bars as a healthy and convenient airport food. After spending more money on sampling, sales soared. That's a really good story. So let's name this company. This company found success by studying the consumer market. They actually took time to see what the consumers really were eating, buying, services, and so forth. While you may be familiar with its best-selling typical product varieties, this firm slightly altered many of its recipes based on the location of its markets. Now let's think. They've been around forever. They are a canned good company. That's how I kind of caught on to what this clue was. And they were known for their chicken noodle soup. Can you guess? The Campbell's Soup Company. And I believe in Campbell's. I don't know why, but from the beginning of when they started, since I've been around for a couple of decades, my go-to was Campbell's chicken noodle soup when I got sick. And that was my mother's go-to. And as I realized, it was a staple. It was a part of our family. So that means we contributed financially, very financially, to the Campbell Soup Company. So when they go to different markets, they have to adapt, overcome, and improvise when it comes to presenting their products, say in the Philippines, China, Japan, Australia. Each country has their own unique staple of food. Campbell's actually adjusted their product to appeal to their new markets. So, actually, what is marketing? We know marketing is basically those amazing commercials, especially at the Super Bowl, that make you want to go out and buy something, or go eat something, or go active. December going into January, 99% of all gyms throughout the United States are advertising get in shape for the new year. That's a marketing concept. So, marketing basically is the activity, set of instructions and processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offering with value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. Marketing today involves helping the buyer buy through websites. That is huge. I think a lot of companies who haven't got on board yet with advertising through websites, social media, AI, they're going to miss the bus, so to speak. So websites that help buyers find the best prices, identify product features, and question sellers. Here's the beauty of going through the websites is you're going to see other folks who've used the product, enjoyed the product, and actually endorsed the product. I didn't believe that at first. I was like, no, I'm going to just go ahead and go with what I think is going to be the best. But then I talked with a lot of people and they said you have to go through the website and look at some of their reviews. And here's another thing. If you aren't comfortable with ordering online, I highly suggest go on the BBB, which is a Better Business Bureau. And they will have the, let's say, reviews or negative reviews that you can actually reflect on. Blogs as well as social networking sites that cultivate customer relationships. Blogs are important. That's something that a lot of people have embraced and they can overuse those or they can underuse those. But a lot of it is one-sided. If you are creating a blog, then you're hopefully promoting your business. And that's what people kind of want to see. Do you believe in your business? So here is a polling question for you guys. As marketing has evolved in the United States, there have been four distinct eras. Which was the first era when we actually started seeing marketing really evolve? Was it the consumer relations era? Pretty sure not. Selling era, the very first we're thinking about. Production era, or marketing concept era? Think that over. You got A, B, C, and D. So which was the very first one? Again, marketing had evolved in the United States. It is evolving, it's changing. What was the very first concept? If some of you said C, C is your correct answer. Production. When we first started, all we did was produce goods and sell goods. We didn't have to market it as much. If you showed a really, really great product, people bought it. Marketing eras. So it shows right here production, 1920s, all the way up to the 1920s. Then what took over a little bit was the sales. They had to think of the concept of saying, we got to figure out how to start selling things. As you can see, the progression and so forth, marketing concept. Now there is a concept. You have to get into the psyche of the consumers and figure out how can we convince them to buy our product. And we finally got into consumer relationship. Consumer relationships is, to me, pivotal. Pivotal to make sure that you believe the product you bought is going to be supported for the life of the product. Another thought is if you want to have a customer service relationship and talk to, let's say, the company, you want to be able to talk to someone who really has the tone of the company. If the tone says we will stand by our product, if something wrong with it, call us. The worst thing you can have is call and they won't satisfy your needs. That's pivotal. That's about the marketing. So marketing, the evolution, the production era. This is when general philosophy was produce as much as you can because there is a limitless market for it. Produce it, someone's going to buy it. The selling era. Most companies emphasize selling and advertising in an effort to persuade consumers to buy existing products. Here's our selling era. The selling era also, I love this. I love this picture because this takes me back. I'm dating myself now to when, they just had simple products they wanted to sell and they sold them at a reasonable price because back then, our cost of living was a lot cheaper. And you get to the point of saying, wow, I'm going to buy that bike. That was huge back in the day. So in the selling era, the focus of marketing was on selling the product itself with little services afterwards and less customization. In other words, you buy that bike, take it home, it's yours. Don't come back and tell us something's wrong. The spokes don't work on the wheels. The tire keeps going flat. That wasn't part of the marketing concept. especially when it was part of the selling. They just wanted to sell the product. So, what economic and social factors made this approach appropriate for the time? Because that's all they knew. That's all they knew. And plus, we have technology on paper. In other words, you got this through magazines, you got it from the newspaper delivered to your home. See the gentleman in the door there with his wife? He's got a big magazine in his hand or a newspaper. That's how we used to order things from the actual companies. We didn't go online. And sometimes, and of course, you didn't get anything delivered to you. So, again, marketing here, the marketing concept era. So, after World War II, a consumer spending boom developed. Every time we have a war, a lot of money is pumped into the economy because we've got to support all the people who need to work to actually support that war. From people who build ships, people who build guns, people who actually supply the uniforms. Businesses knew they needed to be responsive to consumers if they wanted their business. So you had to reach out with a different marketing scheme. The word scheme also conjures up something negative, but scheme just means the actual process in terms of how you're marketing. So customer orientation, service orientation, and profit orientation. So the company was actually trying to train their employees in three different areas, and this is the philosophy. Think about the customer orientation. How is the customer enjoying the product that you're presenting to them? Orientation. Explain to them what's going to happen. I worked at Home Depot for years back in the day. And I just would tell them, you're going to buy this product, but you're going to also have a service guarantee. You're going to want to, maybe buy the service warranty so that if something happens, bring it back free of charge. We'll replace it or fix it. And then profit orientation, what you're going to actually make. So this is all part of the marketing concept, which ties into how they're going to get their product sold. Customer relationship, which is CRM, customer relationship management, learning as much as possible about customers and doing everything you can to satisfy or exceed their expectations. This is important. We have a lot of study groups that actually come together and identify the best way to make, for example, a burger, a Jack in the Box. This is so smart because they actually have a Jack in the Box up there off of, I want to say, Friars Road here in San Diego, and they have test kitchens. And they actually hire people to come in and taste their new creation. This is their way of actually having consumer relationship management. They're saying the consumer tasted it, the consumer liked it, but we had too much mayo, too much mustard, and so forth. Organizations seek to stimulate long term customer loyalty. That's me. If you treat me right, I'll come to your business every single week. I have restaurants that I patronize in La Jolla and downtown Chula Vista and Escondido because I really enjoy the cuisine, but also the service. Social networks, online communities, and blogs are used in relationship building big time. I actually listen to what people say they enjoy about certain restaurants. Law affecting human resources management, the evolution of marketing. Wow, the emerging mobile slash online demand marketing era. This is what happening now. Digital technology continues to grow. Consumer demands are expected to rise in these following areas. Now, consumers want to interact anywhere, anytime. We are a now era. We're living in a point where we're saying, I want it right now. I wasn't used to that. I ordered something from Amazon and it came the next day. I'm used to 3 weeks, 4 weeks out of delivery. So Amazon is appealing to the now generation. And also, hear about the can I? Can I? They want to use information in new ways that create value for them. So, can I do this with this particular phone? Can I do that with this car? Because before we were limited, because the technology was very limited in what we can put in cars and phones. Now, it's so much more beyond that. I use my phone just for texting and maybe calling my children. Now, people are running their entire companies off of their phone. That's pretty phenomenal. Number three, for me, consumers expect personalized experiences. What is in it for me? How's my phone going to, work for me? My car is it going to know when I get in it who I am? And simple. Customers expect all interactions to be easy. I will be the first to tell you that's not happening yet. I had a problem with my Cox cable, and I was so tired of responding to 15,000 questions. Walking around my house trying to find the hotspot in my home, moving the little, I guess you'd call it oh, the Wi-Fi, trying to find a signal. It was just too much. That's not simple. So I switched to Verizon. Turns out Verizon really is not compatible in or even serviceable in my community. I had to go back to Cox Cable. So simple wasn't the answer. This is what we asked for. We want simplicity. Social media has changed the way we send birthday cards and holiday greetings. Oh my God, that is so true. That is so true. I just dropped my son off at Goodwill where he works at. And he said, "Hey, Dad, there is a potluck for some of my coworkers. It's their birthday." I was like, "Oh, great. Sounds good. What do you need?" He goes, "I need to pick up birthday cards." And I said, "Do you have their email?" This is the generation that we're living in now. He goes, "Why? What about their email, Daddy?" "You can send it electronically. You can save that $8 on the card and just send it electronically." He goes, "What about the gift card? I'm going to give them a gift card to Starbucks." "You can do that also online." There's a lot of moments that we have to realize we have to adapt to change. Adaptability is what's keeping us vital as a valid, I should say, as a company. The 110-year-old company Hallmark, I grew up with Hallmark, is now shifting its focus from massively produced paper cards to other retail products like gift cards and home decor. They've got to keep up with the changing times. The Hallmark app helps users find products, directs them to nearby brick and mortar stores, and helps them design personalized greeting cards. I had a student in my classroom about 2 semesters ago, and he and his wife decided they wanted to start a greeting cards company. And I didn't discourage it, but I said, "Well, that's been done. What's going to be unique about yours?" He goes, "Well, my wife is an artist, so she'll be drawing every single individual card." Then my next question is, okay, how are you going to market that? He goes, "We have a website." I said, "Okay, then how are you going to keep up with production if you got 1,000 greeting cards ordered and they want it by tomorrow?" He's, "Oh, we haven't reached that point yet." I said, "Then you got to think ahead. The very first thing you're going to think about is what's going to be your niche. Is it going to be one of those 3D cards? I mean, something has to be done differently." So Hallmark's already done all of that. So Hallmark also decided now they're going to branch out. Now they own Crown Media Networks, a parent company of the Hallmark Channel, and Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. That's smart. Now you know Hallmark is the staple, of all greeting cards. 110 years, and now they woke up and said we have to do something different. Service with a smile. 6 steps for keeping your customers happy. The cost of acquiring a new customer is 5 times the cost of retaining one. Here's how to keep them. Build trust. Have them believe in what you've told them. Be open about mistakes. "Sorry, ma'am, that product should not have gone off the shelf. We were still testing it." Listen, here's the key. This is good advice in any situation, is listen to people. In this case, listen to your customers. Some people just want to be listened to. They want to feel that you care about what they're asking. Promise only what you can deliver. When I worked at a few retail stores years upon years ago, my general manager would say, "KL, I'm giving you a $50 threshold. You're allowed to satisfy the customers up to $50, so I can give them a gift card, or I can take back their product up to $50 worth." In other words, give them something I actually can deliver to them. And then show appreciation. Show appreciation. We really appreciate your business. And how can we do to appease you? How can we do to keep you as a customer? And remember, employees are customers too. So, marketing, nonprofit organizations and marketing. Nonprofit marketing includes fundraising, obtaining resources, promoting their message, attracting new members, creating awareness of social issues. As from nonprofit organizations, the Ad Council sponsors many public service ads, such as this one that encourages social distancing during the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's not party, meet up, bro hug, and defy. Wow. Instead, let's stay put, binge watch, video happy hour, and save lives. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. The idea is to make the public more aware of various issues and to encourage them to get engaged. Have you responded to any ads, counseled advertising? The biggest thing I look at is the don't smoke. My daughter did a paper years upon years ago in the fifth grade on the vaping. That was a huge thing that was coming about. Vaping. Oh, it's so cool. Oh, dude, it's not smoking. You're just inhaling this really great little vapor. It's almost like like sitting in a sauna. No, that was the very first public service announcement I passed on to everyone. Do not vape. Do not smoke, because I love the commercial that they're showing now where people are talking through their throat, through a instrument, through a speaker. That's a really great ad to tell you don't do it. Here's the marketing mix. Super important. Marketing mix is the ingredients that go into marketing programs, also known as the 4 Ps. The first P is product. Second is price. The third would be placement. And finally, promotion. You can do all three. Great. But you got to follow up with promoting. How are you going to promote? When I had my comedy clubs years ago here, the very first thing I realized that 70% of my revenue is going to go into marketing. I had to go out and let them know who I was, where I was, and what we're going to do. So promoting was important. Placement, we identified where the comedy club would be placed strategically throughout San Diego. Price, what is the community prepared to pay when they walk into a comedy club? $5, $10, and so forth. And what product? The product we're giving out is comedians, a live show. So marketing managers and marketing mix. Here is the marketing manager. So what her job is to do is think about the mix. Here's your product, here's your price, here's the place where you're going to actually be performing, let's say some services or presenting your products, and then how you're going to promote it. Very, very important. Folks, with that said, let's move into the wrap up of this particular lecture, and that is going to be my mini lecture concluded. Those are the ins and out of the marketing as well as distribution. And we'll get into a lot more of this as the semester unfolds. So with that said, guys, we'll see you in chapter 13 in 2 minutes and 2 seconds.